Hello and welcome to Fortune Celebration News this hour. But before the news, here are the headlines. Nigeria meets European Union over regulation as cocoa export hits 1.2 trillion naira. You will hear that Federal Executive Council places 7 years ban on establishment of federal higher institutions. On the international scene, mass outcry as Israel continues to block millions of dollars in aid supplies to starving Palestinians. Details coming to you shortly in a moment. I am Aliyu Ibrahim Hadiz. Nigeria's cocoa export rose from about 171 billion in the last quarter of 2023 to 1.2 trillion in the last quarter of 2024, representing a 606% increase. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Agribusiness and Productivity Enhancement, Dr. Kingsley Uzoma, stated this at the Nigerian EU Cocoa Roundtable meeting on European Union deforestation regulation compliance yesterday in Abuja. The Senior Special Assistant added that the current figures position cocoa as vital contributor, accounting for about 29% of our total agricultural export and 5.6% from non-oil exports overall, noting that the federal government is committed to agricultural sustainability, value addition, and global trade standards. Governor Abu Kepas of Taraba State has shown a fade in addressing the prolonged absence of his deputy Alhaji Aminu Alkali, declaring in a steward broadcast that this is not a political matter but a human one, and urging residents to lift him in prayers for a quick recovery. Speaking publicly on the issues of the first time on Monday, Kepas acknowledged growing concern over the fact that the state has been without an active deputy governor for several months. Drawing on his military background, the governor recalled the spirit of esprit de corps, standing together in service without regard of religion, ethnicity, or background. He urged residents to pray for Alkali, who fell ill while on official duty. The Director General of Budget Office of the Federation, Dr. Tanimu Yakubu, said the federal government is funding the capital component of the 2024 budget using revenue achieved under the 2025 budget. Yakubu stated this in Abuja on Wednesday during a stakeholders' engagement on the implementation of the 2025 capital budget and related issues. Of the 34 trillion appropriated in the 2024 budget, 19 trillion was allocated for capital expenditure. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has placed a 7-year moratorium on the establishment of new federal tertiary institutions. The moratorium covers universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. Addressing State House correspondent after the FEC meeting on Wednesday, Minister of Education Dr. Olutunji Alausa said the move was curbing the proliferation of underutilized institutions, refocusing resources on improving existing ones. Alausa disclosed that the decision was reached after available statistics showed that access to tertiary education in Nigeria was no longer the problem, rather the unchecked duplication of federal tertiary institutions had led to inefficient, poor infrastructure, inadequate staffing, and declining student enrollment. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adeboyega Oyetola, has expressed his commitment of the federal government to the full operation of Barrow River Port in Niger State. The minister gave the assurance on Tuesday when he appeared before the House Representative Ad Hoc Committee on Stakeholders Engagement on the challenges and prospects of the Barrow River ports. An ad hoc committee was constituted after the adoption of a motion on the need to convene a national stakeholders engagement on the challenges and prospects of the inland ports. Oyetola noted that since the commissioning of the port in 2019, it has not been able to operate in full capacity due to gaps in supporting infrastructure and navigability. The Federal Ministry of Livestock Development has inaugurated a milk collective center with a 2,000-liter daily capacity of the Sawi Grazing Reserve in Adamani community of Shira local government area of Bauchi State. The facility was rehabilitated and equipped a few years ago by the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development under the Livestock Directorate and is now managed by a private inventor. Speaking during the inauguration, the Ministry Director of Livestock Development, Tagwi James, explained that the facility was sited at the Sawi Grazing Reserve because of its significant milk deposit that could be harnessed daily. On the international scene, more than 108 groups have accused Israel of obstructing life-saving and for entering Gaza, resulting in vast quantities of relief supplies remaining stranded in warehouses across Jordan and Egypt as more Palestinians starve. 8 trucks have marched on Gaza borders amid Israel's blockade of all famine-stricken territory, and new rules are being used by Israel to deny the entry of food, medicine, water, and temporary shelters. The group said this in a joint statement released on Thursday. Relief organizations that have worked in Gaza for decades are now told by Israel that they are not authorized to deliver aid due to new regulations rules, which include so-called security vetting. Hospitals in Gaza are now without basic supplies. As a result, and children, the elderly, and those with disabilities are dying from hunger and preventable illnesses, the statement said. With that, we come to end Fortune's television news, but before we end the news, recap of some top major stories. Nigeria meets European Union over regulation as cocoa export hits 1.2 trillion naira. You will hear that Federal Executive Council places 7 years ban on establishment of federal higher institutions. On the international scene, mass outcry as Israel continues to block millions of dollars in aid supplies to starving Palestinians. With that, we end the Fortune Television News this hour. On behalf of the editor of the news, Musa Alaji Muhammad, I am Aliyu Ibrahim Hadiz Radio News saying good evening.